Anaxa, Castorice, Cypher, bit by bit, we're getting more details about their kits, team synergy, and how they'll fit into the game. With every new piece of info, things get more interesting, but also more confusing. So in this video, I'll go over everything we know so far about these upcoming characters, their roles, and what kind of teams they might work with. The Herda will be released next week, so if you're planning to pull for her, you can save up to 23% on her banner at lootbar.gg. Here, I can buy 3,280 Wuneric shards for $40, while it costs $50 in-game. I just enter my UID and select a server. Since every top-up goes through the in-game channel, I received double the Oniric shards for my first purchase and saved $10. Besides Honkai, you can also top up in Genshin, and Lootbar has around 20,000 5-star reviews for both games. I've also used Lootbar for dozens of Welkins and supply passes in my giveaways, so I can personally recommend it. Use my link in the description for an additional 8% discount. Alright, let's talk about Anaxa, a 5-star Ice Nihility character dropping in version 3.2. As a Nihility unit, you'd expect him to focus on debuffs, but he's also packing some serious damage, which could make him a key piece for teams built around weakening enemies and bursting them down. Now, here's where things get interesting. Anaxa introduces a brand new status effect called MyGo. When he pops his ultimate, it delays enemy actions and applies MyGo to all targets. And here's the interesting part. Enemies with MyGo take extra damage whenever they're attacked. This could make him an insane follow-up attack enabler or a secondary DPS that just racks up consistent chip damage throughout the fight. But wait, there's more. His talent adds another crazy layer to his kit. Every time Anaxa deals damage with his ultimate, he applies a random weakness to enemies, and each hit inflicts a different one. If this works the way I think it does, mono-element teams that struggle with weakness break are going to love him. Imagine running 411 mono quantum and never worrying about weakness types again. That's huge. Since MyGo makes enemies take more damage, he's looking like a perfect support for follow-up attack units like Jade, Topaz, and maybe even Clara. And if Hoyoverse lets MyGo stack with other debuffs like Black Swans or Pelas, Anaxa could be an absolute damage amplifier for follow-up teams. If they really go all in with this synergy, he could be a game-changing character for teams that just pile on layered damage effects. At this point, Anaxa seems to be one of the most unique Nihility characters we've seen so far. He's got a mix of weakness application, enemy action delay, and damage amplification, which makes him a flexible unit for a ton of different team comps. Whether he becomes a must-pull depends on the final details of his debuffs, but right now, he looks crazy strong for follow-up attack and burst damage teams. Alright, let's talk about Castorice, because her synergy situation is kind of weird right now. She's a quantum remembrance character, which already makes her stand out, but the real question is, who does she actually work with? Based on what we know so far, she might be designed to pair specifically with Sunday, either because she scales off HP or because her kit relies on a mechanic that only Sunday enables. If that's true, she's yet another example of Hoyoverse creating a character that's hyper-focused on one specific synergy, kind of like how Black Swan was clearly made for Kafka, or how Fei Xiao is best with Robin. That said, this is all speculation rather than confirmed leaks, so we've got to keep an open mind. If Castorice really is locked into Sunday-centric teams, that could make her a risky pull for anyone who doesn't already have Sunday, or isn't planning to grab him. If you don't have the right synergy piece, the whole kit can feel kind of incomplete. Now, here's something interesting to think about. If Castorice is really designed to work with Sunday and no one else, then there's a strong chance that Sunday will get a rerun in version 3.2 alongside her release. Hoyoverse has a pattern of rerunning key supports when a new unit relies on them heavily. Now let's talk about Phanon, because this guy seems to be one of the biggest lore characters in the Amphorius arc. From what we know, he'll have 2 forms, including a child version in the story and a mysterious transformation that they're keeping under wraps. If this second form is anything like Dan Heng's Imbibitor Lunae transformation, we could be looking at a unit with two completely different playstyles. As for Cypher, we don't have as much info yet, but we do know she's a DOT-based character, which could be a huge deal. If Hoyoverse is really pushing the DOT meta, Cypher could be another piece in the puzzle, giving more options to players who love stacking damage over time. The big question is, will she be strong enough to compete with Kafka as a DOT enabler? If she's on that level, she could completely shake up the meta. A lot of these new characters seem to have very specific synergy requirements, and that's both exciting and frustrating. If Cypher is a strong DOT character, she might completely shake up the meta, making teams like Black Swan plus Pela plus Sparkle even more powerful. Now, on to the strange thing about character synergies. My Day still lacks a proper healer, and even Luocha can't fully support him. Castorice, My Day, and Tribi don't work together, which makes team building more restrictive than expected. Usually supports have some level of flexibility, but these new characters seem to be very specialized. This shift in character design could mean Hoyoverse is pushing for more structured team building, rather than allowing players to freely mix and match units. Next, let's talk about the biggest Hoyo collab we will see this year. Now that the Fate collaboration is officially confirmed, it's time to talk about the rumored characters. It seems that the crossover will feature Saber and Archer as playable characters, which honestly makes perfect sense. These two are the faces of the Fate franchise. If Hoyoverse was going to bring Fate into Star Rail, Artoria and Shiru were the most obvious choices. But here's where things get interesting. Originally, there were rumors that Gilgamesh would also be included in the collaboration. However, looking at My Day, it's kind of hilarious because he's basically Gilgamesh already. I can't wait to see how Hoyoverse is going to handle Artoria and Shiru's gameplay. This is by far the biggest crossover Hoyo has ever had, so I really hope they go all out with unique mechanics that make them feel special, rather than just reskinned characters. With all these leaks, one thing is clear. Anaxa is shaping up to be a unique Nihility unit with his Mygo debuff, and if it stacks or interacts with other effects, he could be a game changer. Castorice, on the other hand, seems heavily tied to Sunday, making her a bit of a risky pull if her synergy stays limited. And of course, the Fate collab is officially happening, which is huge. Some players might find the team synergies frustrating because it limits team flexibility, but at the same time, it also creates new and exciting playstyles. If these leaks are accurate, the meta could shift in ways we haven't seen before. But the real question is, are these new characters going to be must-pulls, or will their niche mechanics make them too restrictive? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on more updates. See you in the next one. If you want to save up to 23% on Fugue and Firefly banners, visit lootbar.gg. All you need is your UID and server. The link is in the description.